Using the simplest tools, as the most classic heritage, a pair of powerful feet constantly step on the ink mud. This is the ink stick known as the four treasures of the Chinese study. It has a long history. It is said that hand kneading and grinding appeared in the Warring States period. With the development and evolution, this craft has become less and less. But in Japan, this craft is constantly being praised. This is Japan. Japan's love for brush calligraphy highly sought after by certain groups. Do you know what? Japan's smoke extraction method and glue method are different from those in China, but the craftsmanship is basically passed down from China. It can be said that the production process is from the same school. Today, we will learn in detail about the production process of this Japanese grinding stick born in our country. The first thing that comes into view is soaking in warm water of cow glue, and a small amount of sesame oil cowhide glue mainly plays a bonding role. For example, the donkey hide gelatin that everyone eats is made from donkey hide. Now, prepare to start the first step of the raw material. Pour the extracted marinade into the blender. Ash extraction is extremely difficult, so not a single bit can be wasted. Japanese ash is the ash accumulated from burning oil lamps as the main material. Friends who have used kerosene lamps should know that when you wake up in the morning, your nose is full of ashes and that ash is the ash in front of you. It should be easier to understand if I say this. After a long period of stirring, the glue and ash have been fully integrated. This process usually takes more than a few minutes. Just like donkey hide gelatin, the foam is already very solid at this time. In order to prevent moisture loss and drying, it needs to be quickly wrapped in a bag. The material is made in this stage. Next, you need to press it. Speaking of pressing, you may know how to do it at first sight, but you will fail after practicing. The main reason is not to press it randomly. Just like kneading dough, you need to master the skills. Otherwise, there will be gaps between the ground mud, which will cause it to break in the later stage. The same principle applies. If there are gaps in the dumpling skin, the filling will be exposed. Now it is time to press. Take an appropriate amount of ground mud and weigh it. The weight must be kept consistent. Roll it into a palm shape with your hands. It is similar to the steps of kneading dough. After the size is consistent, you can put it into the mold and press it in. Because the ink is soft, you don't need to use a machine. Just press it hard with both hands. Repeat the operation. Put it on the furniture next to it. Fix it lightly so that the lid does not rebound. The process needs to last for dozens of minutes again. What you see in front of you is the solidified one. Ink strips. Let's take a look at the finished product. No, it's not hard to find. The writing on the surface is clearly visible at this time. It's only a few minutes. The ink strips cannot be solidified. Be careful during the disassembly process. The excess ink on the edges must be cleaned and removed in time, and placed in the drying process to increase strength. These ink strips in the picture are after the initial drying. Here the workers will process the ink strips in more detail, make the edges smoother and smoother. Without any roughness, the edges of the ink strips need to be cleaned before hardening. After the ink texture hardens, it cannot be operated again. After fine processing, it looks better. These boxes of soil in front of you, do you know what they are used for? The wooden boxes here are used as tools for drying and grinding strips. There is a reason for this design. The soil also serves as a dry indirect effect and create a dry environment. Prevent deterioration. Dry quickly. After all, oil is added to the ink stick. Walnut oil and rapeseed oil were also added to the ink made in ancient times. So there is another little known fact. That is, the steamed buns in ancient times can be eaten. Yes, you can really eat them when you are hungry. The reason is that all the ingredients are pure natural. There are not many hazards. But the steamed buns nowadays cannot be eaten. A layer of newspaper and a layer of ink. After the paper is placed, start weaving and drying. There are 3 drying steps in total. They are flat ash and smashing. About to start smashing and drying. Here is another knowledge point. That is weaving straw. Friends who have experience in farming should be very familiar with straw. That is, when harvesting rice in autumn, staff will use straw to bundle rice. The straw here is the body of rice. No more, no less. Bundle 8 ink strips. By bundling like this, air can pass through them more easily. Each bundle of ink strips will be marked. The time and date will be clearly recorded. This process will last for several days. This is also to achieve the best state. Here are the ink strips that have been wet and dry. You need to cover the surface of each ink strip with water. Increase moisture. After all, dry ink strips cannot be written on. Moist ink strips can preserve the handwriting longer. This is also the last step before gold drawing. In front of you is the wet ink strip. The lower the step, the final gold drawing begins. Gold drawing workers are all women after all. Women's handwriting is more delicate. Gold drawing is not really gold drawing, but using yellow dye. Drawing yellow fonts on the existing handwriting. It looks more high-end atmosphere. If the editor is not wrong, the first word should be Tian. Maybe the photographer is used to shooting still men. There are a lot of shots here. It is mainly to show us the specific process of gold painting. What we see in front of us is the appearance after gold painting. Starting to enter the packaging stage, the small wooden box used for packaging looks more elegant. And with a seal on it, it feels more formal. Now we enter the ink stick packaging stage. The ink stick packaging is more careful. I just don't know how the ink was packaged in ancient times. Maybe it was wrapped in a piece of cloth. When you are hungry, you can get it through authoritative information on the internet. The ancient ink tastes good, but the specific taste is unknown. The packaging stage in front of us is about to be completed. The small ink sticks look full at this time. The above is the whole process of making ink. The test part that is essential at the end. First, pour some water into the inkstone. Then use the ink stick to rotate and grind it continuously on the inkstone. Black pigment has appeared on the inkstone. However, this was done by book boys in ancient times. Then the young master was on the side. All this. But not every celebrity has a book boy. For example, famous poets in ancient times could not even get enough food. Poems and songs have been passed down to this day. As for book boys, don't even think about it. The presentation part has begun. It's hard for me to comment on this word. You can comment on what you think. Friends who are watching, are there any friends who love calligraphy? Ink is often used in calligraphy and painting. It is also a representative of thousands of years of culture. From ancient times to the present, many famous teachers and paintings have been born. Among them, ink is indispensable. I hope it will continue to be passed on. Thank you for watching.